A lady who walked with Martin Luther King, was high school sweethearts with Quincy Jones, and more importantly, is responsible for thousands of young athletes getting their college degrees.
First name on the list is Gertrude Peoples.
Yes. Probably the most influential person and most caring person that I ever have met during my college career. I mean, she kept me sane during some very, very, very tough days for me at that university, and I think she was probably the second most powerful person in the athletic department. Besides Don James, she was next because she kept all these guys going. She kept them all motivated. She kept them up going to school. She was up on that campus begging for different guys to be able to get a good passing grade. She did whatever she needed to do to help guys move forward in their careers at the U. So I love her to death.
I do too, and she's helped thousands and thousands of young men get their college degrees.
Yes, she has.
Gertrude Peoples.
Yes. She was a team mother. Yeah.
Thousands of kids.
Yes.
She
held us together a lot of occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told her, I said, these people I can't make an 8:30 class.
Yeah.
She said, well, this is a good teacher. I want you to take that class. Let's just give it a try. I said, okay, Miss Peoples. Okay, Gertrude. I think it was 3 weeks later. She said, okay, we'd like to drop that class. I said, yeah, I think we should drop that class. So did you make it at all? I said, I tried. No, I didn't make it at all. I said, yeah, we dropped it.
I'm hoping.
I said, please, never again. She said, okay, never again. Well, she should have been honored a long time ago.
Yeah.
She should have been honored. There should be a statue over on the side of the, because she kept all of us eligible.
The Downtown Dawgs first episode features the iconic Gertrude Peoples, brought to you by Joe Kelly and Kelly Youth Services. More about Joe and Kelly Youth Services after the show. All right, here we go. Welcome to the Downtown Dawgs. I'm Jimmy Rogers, your host. That guy over there is Jeffrey Lancaster. He's our videographer, our editor, and our director. We are the home of the unsung heroes and the forgotten stars. My inspirations for this show is with us today. My inspiration, I should say, is with us today, and that is you, Gertrude.
I'm so honored to be here,
I'm honored
Jimmy.
to reintroduce you to the world. I want everybody in Husky Nation to know who you are for the younger kids and everyone else who's a fan. I hold you very, very close to my heart, right next to my mother and father, Tom and Joan Rogers. By the way, of Natchez, Mississippi. Without further ado, Gertrude Peoples, how are you?
Good morning. I'm so pleased to be here, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I missed all your retirement parties, but I was extremely overweight and embarrassed, I didn't want to show my 299-pound bodies.
You look great.
Thank you. I feel good.
You look
I feel
great.
good. I think Warren Moon called me biscuit, and he said, "Yeah, you were just a biscuit under 300." So I think. So anyhow, we've had about 50 episodes and 50 ball players sit where you are. And I do a name association later on in the show, and when I said Gertrude Peoples, every one of them, as you saw in the video, hand to heart.
I'm so lucky that I was around some of the best people in the world and was part of their life. Some was 17 years old when I met them.
So from a 17-year-old standpoint, we're kind of thrown into this fire.
Exactly.
And you're away from home for the first time for a lot of us.
Yeah, and you've been such a big shot on campus, and the recruiting process makes you think you're a real big weight. And now the courtship's over.
Reality kicks in.
Life begins.
The first week.
Yes.
Life begins. You obviously had a passion for what you did. And you obviously had insight to see these kids coming in. Can you maybe
one of the things that I had heard continually is that student athletes weren't getting educated. They were just playing their sport and not graduating, leaving the university ungraduated. And I was just determined to help change that. If you get a chance at great scholarship, why would you not take advantage and get your education? So that was my driving force. I wanted to see people get educated and graduate.
And where do you think that driving force came from? Was it from your father and mother?
Yeah, well,
in Virginia Johnson, is that right?
Yeah. My whole life, that's all I heard, get an education. And with minority kids, they really were in the back of that. We just didn't quite have it, so I was determined. And when I would help recruit, I'd assure parents that I was going to be there. And I just lived up to my word. I'm going to be there.
Was there when you started in 1969, did you realize that you had an opportunity to make a huge impact?
No.
When did it kick in?
Maybe 1980, because people started to kind of write stuff. I was seeing my name a little bit. That's when it kind of did.
So you were just focused on what you were doing,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you started to see your name in print?
And don't forget, in 1969, I was both a minority and a woman in a world that was not used to that at all. And I had more than my fair share of kickbacks. I think about Jim Lambright. They just invited me to a memorial. He was like the one person that always stood up for me and was he was like the only person that wouldn't just get quiet. He was, and I know he had his own little things, but he was a good friend to me.
Interesting.
He was a very good friend.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I have a story to tell, if you don't mind. I hadn't talked to you for decades and decades, and then in the paper or on the internet, I read that the DFI's findings, DFI's findings on me and my hedge fund was that I'd claimed that I graduated from the University of Washington, when indeed I did not. So now I'm in my 50s, reading this, and your heart drops when you read about yourself in the paper. And I immediately, just like 1980, I call Alan Stover. Alan Stover says, call Gertrude Peoples. Sound familiar? And within an hour, Gertrude, you had proof of education, and I got a phone call from you. And the phone call was as if we just saw each other yesterday.
Yeah.
Just picked up where we left off.
Speaking of Alan Stover, he's a dear friend for life. There is not a greater human being ever. Loyal. He's just a beautiful human being.
Right.
Very decent man.
I had a hip replacement over a year ago in my Medicare's in Oregon. And guess who came and picked me up?
I
Drove from Seattle to Portland.
Why does that not surprise me?
I asked him, why are you doing this, Alan? He's so good to me.
That's who he is.
He said he told my father back in 1980 that he was going to take care of me. My father's been gone for a while now, so pretty special. Tyrone Rogers, I've never met him before, and I talked to him for the first time last week, and I told him that you were coming on the show, and he said, I was at the Seahawks 2 years after my Husky experience, and I get a phone call from Gertrude Peoples, and he said, I didn't expect to hear from Gertrude, and she said, you have 18 credits left to get your degree. So there's just one of a million stories out there. I saw Scott Fawcett yesterday, and I said, Scott, I'm having Gertrude on the show, and the first thing he said, without any hesitation, was, tell the truth and be done with it. Wasn't that?
I had this on my wall, and oftentimes I'd have to point to it because everybody had a story that was not quite on, and Scott never forgets that. He always talks about that. Tell the truth and be done with it.
So from 1980 to 84, my time there, it was just magical. And here I am from a small town in Oregon, and all of a sudden I'm with Alan Stover and Mike Lute and Gertrude Peoples, and Coach Al was a character to me, coming from an all-white town. Anthony, incredible leader, Anthony Allen, Aaron, Tom Flick, Kurt Marsh, all these guys were just giants to me, and it was just it was a culture shock, but at the same time I just loved it. It was probably the best time of my life.
Yeah. Do you remember Blanche, your tutor?
Yes.
Blanche Whitney?
Yeah. That's right. Is it safe to say that you were born into a generation and an ethnicity that provided a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities?
Absolutely. A lot of challenges, yes. But I always thought I had opportunities. I was always searching for that. I feel like I'm a real survivor in that regard, because I had a family that's all they ever stressed. be a decent person, be educated.
So education just was the theme your entire life.
Yeah. So my own children were really pretty bright people, and I married well, and so they were pretty smart kids.
Is there anything that really shocks you today in terms of trends or styles?
I don't even want the kids to get paid. People boo me all the time over that. I just still want you to be a student athlete. I'm just really confused by all of this. So the amount of money coaches make, all of this is very confusing to me. It's almost obscene sometimes.
So one coach gets fired and gets paid $12 million a payout.
Yeah, and now the kids are going to get paid for
Name, image, likeness,
So
or they can leave.
So all of it's I don't like what I'm seeing today, so I don't get it.
So my freshman year, Ronnie Holmes and I and Danny Green, we were ready to go, but it was all talk.
Yeah.
If we had a portal, we probably would have never jumped in it. But in my opinion, those years, Don James, Gertrude, Mike Lou, you guys are breaking us down. You're teaching us how to be men. And now if there's a portal, so if I don't want to be broke down and remolded, guess what? I can jump in the portal and never get that tough love.
No, that's really, I don't know what the word I need. Well, I'm confused. Confusing to me what's going on. I didn't even go to a game last year. I watched it on television, but it's late at night. It's on a Thursday, one of them. I don't understand
5 p.m.
any of
kickoff.
that. So that's, I never missed a Husky football game since you were born. So anyway, things are changed.
And along with the changes, we've seen all these styles and trends, and from women's pants, and personally, they got the cutoff bell button, up to their calves, and they're up this high, and they're up this high down here. And now I see tattoos on the face, and I see a young person with a tattoo on the face, and I think, oh my gosh, you're really not giving yourself a chance.
Yeah, what is this all about?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Today's world, I'm old, so that maybe that's part of the thing too. I'd like to believe I'm still thinking young, but obviously not.
Well, you've always been a stylish lady.
Yeah, and I still feel young, even if I can't walk half the time, but still feel pretty good.
And styles are cyclical. They continue to come around. Nothing's new. There's only X amount of music keys for a song. But it just seems to me like this is a bad cycle. Do you feel like society has gone backwards, like very far back, or do you feel like it's gone a little bit back and then we're going to lunge forward?
Well, I'm concerned. I see things that we fought so hard to achieve being threatened, to be taken away. When I started to work in the athletic department, it was because the black students were not coming to the university. They thought that we had this charges of racism in the department, and we decided we were going to change all that, and we did change it. So I don't think that part will ever change. I think black athletes will always be welcome in every sport. That won't change, I don't think. I hope not. But it was an issue then.
So that continues to go forward.
Now there's some teams it's all black. Basketball, I see some teams are all black. That never was earlier on in the 80s and 70s.
I'm a big fan of Quincy Jones, and I watched the documentary on him. And he sat down with the East Coast, West Coast when they had the feuds with the rap with Biggie Small and Tupac. Mm-hmm. And he predicted, he could almost see it coming, that there was going to be blood spilled. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious where he got that foresight.
He's just probably the most interesting person you'll ever meet. I watched that document you were talking, and I learned things about him I didn't know, and I thought I knew quite a bit. So he's just a fascinating person. I don't know where it came. He's from Chicago and had a pretty rough life. His dad remarried, and the stepmother wasn't, in his opinion, that
She wasn't sane in his opinion, is that right?
wasn't. That was his real mother.
Oh, his real mother, okay.
He thought she was unfair to them.
Okay.
So I don't know, but he's a survivor, and he's so bright.
And do you have any good Quincy Jones stories from when you dated him or went to school with him, or memories, or?
No, no.
No?
No, everything
Okay.
was just kind of normal.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're a very accomplished bridge player.
Well, no, thank you.
And that's the best analogy for bridge, is that it's playing chess with cards.
Yeah.
Is that a good analogy?
Yeah. I like bridge. It saved my life, really. So it's something to do, and you don't get too old. You still can play. So
Now, are you available for a little bit of counseling right now, or if I have a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So I heard
Always.
as much as anybody, and I've experienced loss before, and I understand the pain involved. So I've kind of structured my life to avoid any heartbreak. So no wife, no ex-wife, no kids. You know, kind of the Bob Marley, no woman, no cry theme.
Shame on you.
I know I'm allergic to cats, I'm allergic to dogs, but I'm dating and I'm in love with a grandmother.
I saw her picture on Facebook.
Okay, so Lori, with her 3 kids, or 4 grandkids, 4 dogs and a cat, and this is where I live, right? You know? So here's my dilemma. If I marry Lori, and if she'll have me, I'll be a turnkey stepfather. I'll be a grandfather. I'll have 3 Shih Tzus, a golden retriever, and Callie the cat. So here's the caveat. Our relationship is just fantastic. So if you were me, would you take the plunge, or would you just continue to stay where we're at?
Well, I believe in taking chances. If you have a chance to be really happy, you take the chance. What's the worst could happen? You come back here. In the meantime, you've gained all this family. Gee whiz. How lucky can you be?
Okay, thank you.
Take a chance.
So I can't imagine how much you've hurt over the years, and so how many times your heart's been broken with thousands and thousands of kids that you've considered your own that have entered your life. You were the surrogate mother for all these kids. So I guess my question to you is, does that joy or that love, does it outweigh the heartbreak?
It does. It absolutely does. You hardly remember the heartbreak part. And somehow I have walked past it. There's plenty of it, yes. But there was so much fun, so much joy. I mean, look at the people that you know that I know. You. I mean, I've had a lot of wonderful people in my life. So I only had 3 children, but I had thousands, really. So.
Why is chauffeuring your kids to school so important to you? Your grandkids,
Yeah,
excuse me.
well, before I even lost my son, I was taking my 2 old, first off, the day I became a grandmother, I grew a whole brand new heart. That was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And so I have 5 grandchildren. I was lucky enough to know each one individually. They know me because I drove them to school and picked them up and went to doctor's appointments and dental appointments. I'm just lucky that I was at a stage in my life I could do that. So now they're all grown up and have their own grown-up issues. But the childhood, I was there.
And are they driving their kids to school?
Nobody has any yet.
Nobody has any kids?
No.
Politicians, I've lost all my faith in politicians, both sides of the table, with one exception, Bruce Harrell. So Bruce is the front runner right now.
Yes,
He's
he
been on
is.
the show. Jeffrey and I are working on his campaign. We're dialing for dollars for him this Sunday, right, Jeff, from 1 to 4. And can you tell us a little bit about Bruce?
Bruce is same age as my daughter. They went to high school same time. And very bright young man. Do you know that he could have gone to the pros when he graduated? And he decided to go to law school. That's who Bruce is.
Very few people.
Very unassuming, very easy to be with person. I've known him since he was born. I still know his dad died and his mom as well, but he's got a lot of other relatives that are still around. Wendell is his uncle, and he'll be a good mayor. He'll be good.
You're at an age now where maybe you've seen You know the adage, what goes around comes around. Are you at the age now where you've actually seen things come full circle?
Yes, yes. Chickens
it's
do
true.
come home to roost.
I'm sorry?
Chickens always come home to roost. His dad always used to say that. And I've learned I've lived long enough to know what that means.
So let's talk a little football. Jimmy Lake's got 6 games under his belt, and everybody's talking about firing him.
I know. I'm so sad. I want Coach Lake to be successful so badly, and I think he will. You know, he's young and he's smart, and he's a very caring kind of guy. He's just got to be given a little time to get this together. They just pounced on him Saturday.
He's had 6
Sunday.
games
Yeah.
total in his career as a head coach, and you and Don had 3 years until you turned it around.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And then that third year in '77, you went 1-3 on your first 4 games, and everybody was sending hate mail to Warren and Don. I remember Abner's wife. Donna.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to her a little bit, and she said that during that time that Don would get hate mail, and he would file it. And then after the season or at the 5th quarter, or whatever the party was, Don would take those letters and go around to those alumni and say, oh, I got your letter, and hand it back to them.
I didn't know about that. That's great.
So let's give him some time, right?
Yeah, I hope so, that he gets time and he'll turn it around.
Do you have a favorite Husky team? Besides the '84 team, of course.
No, I like them. I love them all.
Is that like asking, do you have a favorite child?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Which
not
your
fair.
children are going to give away. Huh?
Okay. How about this one? Do you have a favorite Husky play or memory? Like the Freddie Small touchdown?
Or spider dropping. I'm really close to him.
Okay, you can say that.
Yes, he's somebody that contacts me at least once a month. He is just so loyal to me, and you know, he and I went through our stuff, and I stayed there with him. So, but I do remember that because I remember that look on Coach James's face. That you ever seen? Did you know Coach James?
He's heard enough. That's that look right there. Yeah. Alan told me that before we'd get on the bus for a road trip or to go to the hotel, Don would be by the bus looking out the window waiting for you to give a signal. That was a hand, like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you tell me what that was about?
You know what? I don't remember.
Eligible players or?
Might have been. But once we were going to Oregon on the bus, and the way it is the head coach's bus is first. And there was 3 buses. So I'm on the bus, Chick Harris and I and Coach James, and our bus driver falls behind. So Coach James goes up there, tells him, you know, and really went at him. We got into Portland, and the bus driver took the bus to the barn and left, got off, took his thing. And there we are sitting, and Chick and I just go. Nobody said a word. There was players on the bus too.
That was a major turning point in Don's career, in the Husky career.
That was yeah.
That was when you were 1-3, and then you went and beat Oregon 54-0.
Yeah.
When you finally got there. So
we got there.
They shipped in a new bus driver.
But to know him, as he was so on what's protocol and how you do it, and stay there with it. So anyway, we wind up in the bus barn, waiting to get out of there.
Can you maybe give the first few words that come to mind on the following names, a little name association? So Alan Stover, which we already touched on, but if you could just say 1 or 2 words that would sum up.
Loyal, honest, caring, just truthfully has a heart. He really has a heart. He really is. I'm so fortunate to have him in my life.
Don James.
Tough.
Mike Lude.
Tougher.
Is that right?
He's mellowed so low through these years. He's really mellowed out. Loyal.
Yeah.
Loyal.
Any Martin Luther King stories that you can share or memories?
No, I just said it when he was here that we marched together, and I don't know how. I'm trying to think of how old my own children were at that time. So no, just the greatest human being ever. Ever.
Are you currently reading a book?
I am. I'm in a book club.
Okay, and what book are you reading?
Anxious People.
Okay.
Martha Loney, I think is her name.
And is there a book that you revisit from time to time?
A Man Called Ove. Did you read that?
A Man Called
Ove.
Oh, okay.
Did you read that? That is probably the best book I've read this last 10 years. You'll laugh and you'll cry, you'll laugh and you'll cry. It's a great book.
So you're known for taking the high road and taking the high road with class.
I try to take the high
And
road.
there must be times when you just want to unleash.
Absolutely.
So if you could get on top of the tallest mountain and scream right now and everybody would hear you, what would you say?
Thank you.
And Gertrude, do you have any advice for the next generation?
Stay truthful. Keep your word. That's very, very important. Keep your word. Stay truthful.
Well, Gertrude, it's official. Gertrude Johnson Peoples, you are a downtown dog. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I hope I was all right.
You were great. You were great.
Back in 1984, we all knew Joe Kelly was bound for greatness on and off the field. Joe Kelly is the founder, CEO, and president of Kelly Youth Services. Founded in 1998, Kelly Youth Services has housed close to 3,000 at-risk, abused, and neglected children. Kelly Youth Services responsibilities do not stop there. They assist in continuing education, vocational training, and job placements. Big up to Kelly Youth Services and the staff, Reggie Williams, Wiley Kiles, Tiffany Kelly, Andre Armstead, Deborah Boatman, Beverly Bussey, Jim Anderson, and of course, thank you to the greatest linebacker in the history of the University of Washington, Joseph Winston Kelly.